We have with us Michael Nugent on the line, who is the chair of Atheist Ireland. Michael, good afternoon. Peace upon you. Welcome to the Drivetime show.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you back on. Michael, now, as I mentioned, you represented Alliance of Atheists in this joint committee with the evangelics and the Ahmadi Muslim community on admissions to the school bill. Why do you think that this new bill is creating segregation and inequality? I'm assuming that this is what you think.
Yes, well, the Irish education system is even worse than the English one because we don't have faith schools in the way that Britain has faith schools, where they form part of the school system as an alternative to secular schools. In Ireland, the faith schools are the school system, and 90% of them are Catholic, most of the rest are Protestant, and a tiny number of Jewish and Islamic schools. So for most atheists, Protestants, Muslims and Jews, your only option is to go to a Catholic school. And even if you get a chance to go to one of the minority religion schools, there are only 2 Islamic schools, and they're both Sunni Muslim schools. So they will discriminate against Ahmadi Muslims by saying that they're not real Muslims. Church of Ireland schools will discriminate against evangelicals. Catholic schools will discriminate against atheists. So we have these 3 communities: atheists, Ahmadi Muslims, and Protestant evangelicals, who have very different worldviews, but we're all agreed on the fact that the churches should not be running schools. And it's not just us that believe that. When we addressed the Parliamentary Education Committee 2 years ago on the same topic, they agreed with us that the system of having multiple schools with multiple patrons and multiple religious ethos creates segregation and inequality, because what you have essentially is children who are growing up together with their friends whose parents have different religions, playing football with them, playing games with them on the street, and then when they reach 5 years old, suddenly they're all sent off to different schools and they don't see their friends at school. They suddenly have a load of new friends that they have to make based on the religion of their parents, which is by definition segregation. Now, we've no problem, obviously, with people going to church or with people congregating with religious freedom in their own places of worship. But that's a personal religious thing. It shouldn't be the state. We're not living in a theocracy. We're living in a pluralist country with a government that should be representing everybody.
Okay. Catholic schools believe that they are unable to meet parental demands across countries. Do you think it's fair on them when Christianity is the major religion in Ireland?
Well, look, education is a state public service. And there's no other state public service that you get away with that argument for, that, you know, they're segregated on the grounds of religion. Can you imagine going to your local state-funded police station to report a crime and being told, I'm sorry, we have to deal with the Catholic crime victims first, you know, because they're the majority in the country. Or you go to hospital with a broken leg and they say, sorry, there's a whole load of Catholics here with broken legs. We have to deal with them first, and then then we might get round to you. Now, look, it's understandable that parents and representatives of religions would have as their priority that the education system satisfies their own desires. But the role of the state should be to counteract that self-centred approach in the common good and to ensure that the education system respects equally the human rights of all parents and all children. And in practice, the only way to make that happen is to have a foundation of secular state schools that are neutral on the question of religion and non-religion. And then you can allow a small number of further options on top of that foundation, but not instead of it, or not as a major part of the system.
Michael, when we decided to speak on this topic, we were talking to some of our producers and some of my friends, and they mentioned that despite the fact that they are religious, despite the fact that they are from a Muslim background, their point was that it's better to have some sort of faith in school than have no faith at all, because at the end of the day, I mean, they do have some sort of, let's say, moral conduct or some rules and regulations, whatever you want to call it, that gives a positive message. Do you think that, opt out from religious education at all would prevent maybe our children to learn about differences between religions, and maybe because of that, they would lack a sense of acceptance between them? And especially in today's day and age, you have so many people from different backgrounds, so many people with different faith backgrounds. So it's never bad to actually learn about other faiths, isn't it?
I agree completely, and so would the Ahmadi Muslims in Ireland and the evangelical Protestants in Ireland who we campaign alongside as Atheist Ireland. What we believe is that there should be an opt-out in schools from faith formation, but not from teaching about religions and beliefs. But the key is that the teaching should be delivered objectively and critically and pluralistically. A secular school, which is what we're looking for, is not the same thing as an atheist school. A religious school teaches that a specific God exists. An atheist school would teach that no gods exist. And a secular school, which we're looking for, would be neutral on the question of what is true, but it would teach children about the different beliefs that different people have about gods. And it would then leave it up to parents and churches to teach specific religious or non-religious beliefs outside of school hours. So they would teach, as you suggest, it's very important, common ethical values like fairness and tolerance and compassion and justice and cooperation. These are things that atheists and religious people alike share. We differ in where we believe that these values come from, but we all have those values. So I think that schools should teach children about different religious and non-religious beliefs and help them to understand other beliefs and respect other people and respect other people's rights to believe what it is that they believe, but not taking sides by the school funded by the state, telling children, because bear in mind children of minorities in whatever school it is, your belief is wrong and this belief is right. Those are the issues that parents and churches should be teaching children about.
Okay. Lastly, Michael, there have been studies showing that Catholic schools have been considered as most successful so far. So do you think that is an argument of the, which kind of promotes or kind of supports this fact that this could be beneficial for the society, or do you don't agree with that?
Well, it depends on what you mean by successful. I mean, there are studies that show that in some places Catholic schools get better results in examinations. But firstly, that's not the key test of whether a school is successful. Schools should be about forming, whole personalities and preparing people for living in society. But one of the things in England is there's a study by the Education Policy Institute in the London School of Economics recently that found that much of that difference is because faith schools, on average, admit fewer pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds than non-faith schools do. And what they used is as a measure of disadvantaged backgrounds that they checked how many students in each of the schools qualified for free school meals because of their social background. And they found that the figure was far lower in faith schools. There was 12% in faith schools and up to 18% in non-faith schools. So essentially, if you bring in people preferentially that already have an advantage in life, then you're more likely to get better examination results. But that's not the measure of how the state should be running an education system. The purpose of schools is to teach, the purpose of religions is to preach, and the purpose of the state is to ensure that everyone is treated equally, regardless of the religious beliefs of their parents.
All right. Michael Nugent, Chair of Atheist Ireland, as always, good to have you on. Thank you so much for coming and talk to us, and all the best in this regard. Thank you once again, Michael.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Always happy to help.